This is Romo Dunze, and you're listening to the Ballsville Podcast.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it.
What's up? You're muted, Scott. You're muted, Sean.
Hello, everybody. Sorry about that. We are here today to hang out with you guys for the first game of the season. I know it's only preseason, but hey, let's have some fun, right? So you got me and my friend Connor here. Connor, say hi.
What's up? Hope everybody's doing good.
So, yeah, we just want to hang out with you guys a little bit. We're excited, just like everybody else, about some football coming up. Mainly for me, I'm really excited about the kickoffs, which we'll get into here in a little bit. But, yeah, we just thought it would be fun to jump on with you guys and answer some questions, kind of hang out and go through this first quarter at minimum and, you know, just have some fun, chat it up a little bit. So, anyways, we got the game about to start here. I'm watching the game currently. I'm literally seeing it looks like we got a Hall of Fame wife walking out on the field here, helping out for the opening ceremonies. And we're going to get a kickoff here probably in the next 10 or 15 minutes. So, let's start off a little bit talking about these new kickoff rules. So basically, we're going to have a kickoff that should not go into the end zone. Otherwise, they're going to be penalized. And you're pretty much lining up now 5 yards apart or so, and you're kicking off from midfield, basically. So the goal of this whole scenario for the NFL, which I'm sorry, guys, I don't have a better description for you. But the goal for the NFL basically is to force them to play more where they want to actually return these kicks and not try to get touchbacks and actually create like a more entertaining play for all of us that is a lot less injury prone. So we're really, that's pretty much my number one thing I really want to see here. I think it could change the fantasy aspect of how we approach people that return kicks. I think it'll change who's going to return the kicks. I think they're going to allow certain receivers that have always wanted to return kicks, but it was too dangerous. I think they're going to be allowed to do that now. And that could really boost their fantasy aspect based on your scoring. So, you know, these things that we got going on here are probably the one time that preseason actually is really exciting and could really make a difference. We're going to finally get to see how they approach this as a team. You know, I don't think they're going to take it back. I think they're going to go out there. They're going to try what they think they want to try. So they need to see how it's going to work. I don't think they're going to sit back and just kick them into the end zone or do something that they're not going to plan on doing week one just so they can hide their approach. I feel like everybody's just basically, hey, we're all going to try our thing. We're going to see what everybody else is doing too and just come up with a plan by the time week one starts. So, Connor, you got anything you want to add on this, man?
Yeah, so if you've watched any XFL games, it's very similar to what the XFL did a little while back with their kickoffs. There's like a zone you're supposed to kick into. If you kick into that zone, you can return it. If you kick behind that zone, you get the ball at like the 40, I think. If you kick in the zone and then it bounces in the end zone, it's at the 35. It's a bunch of weird, different rules that we haven't seen before. I know Marvin Mims is a big name that's supposed to be returning kickoffs. I kind of excited to see if he has any fantasy value with that because who knows? There could be.
I like Marvin Mims a lot.
He had some really good ball skills, like catching the ball and getting deep passes last year. So I'm ready to see if there's any value added to these players.
And do you think there will be? Do you anticipate it?
I think there will be to some. I think like the Marvin Mims, I think he could. He's not good. I hope he gets a few touchdowns out of it. I'm not sure if it does anything to like these Turpins or anybody that were big kickoff returners alone before.
See, that's a name right there that is intriguing. I'm glad you brought him up because that's actually one of the guys that I like to keep an eye on. It's a little bit of a sleeper of mine. I appreciate you announcing it to the world. But he's definitely a guy that I'm really intrigued by because they added him to offensive rotation towards the end of the year. They were drawing up plays specifically for him and trying to utilize him and his speed. So that's a guy that I think this could really benefit. Like this could change the entire outcome of his professional career. Honestly.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's going to do enough for me to pick him up in fantasy football. Like
I mean, if he gets an extra 3 or 4 more plays a game called for him in the offense, he gets the kicks too.
Yeah, maybe if he joins the offense, but just kickoff returns alone, I mean, just not something I think is going to do a whole lot. Just kickoff returns alone. Like Marvin Mims, he's probably going to get some touches in the offense. Some of these other guys, hopefully, if they get touches in the offense and kickoff, I hope it boosts their value. But I don't – these people just returning kickoffs are going to be anything other than –
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. I don't think like just a kick return only kind of a guy is not going to be a benefit. But it's those wide receiver threes, that are going to really benefit. And then you can also even include like those wide receiver ones, or wide receiver top end wide receiver twos. Do they now go to bottom end wide receiver one potential because they're going to be able to return kicks now where they weren't allowed to before, or the team didn't want to utilize them, but now they will, and things like that. You know what I mean?
The Dolphins have returning kicks. I haven't heard anything out of camp. They have so many fast guys. There's just so many options. I feel like they have. They have Malik Washington that just got there as a rookie. Achan. I mean, he was a kickoff returner at A&M. He had punt return, kickoff for touchdowns, kickoff returns for touchdowns. Tyreek Hill is a big name. I know he's going to want to get as many touches as he can. Jalen Waddle's not no scrub.
It's crazy, right, to think about it. Like, I mean, I think for them, I wouldn't put Tyreek returning kicks.
Yeah, I don't think as a coach, I wouldn't do that. But could it happen?
The reason I say it is because of all the options he has.
Yeah,
like you just mentioned. I mean, he's got so many guys out there that can run just as fast. It's tough for me to put the guy out there that really, if he goes down, it drastically changes the projection of our squad for the whole season, right? So that's, everybody else we could potentially afford to lose. So it's hard for me, but I could see a guy like Tyreek Hill sitting there saying, Coach, I was returning punts in Kansas City. I've returned kicks here. Like, I've done this before. Now it's safer. So why now would you tell me no when you've let me do it before, when it was, a lot less safe than what I'm dealing with now, and a lot less of an opportunity for me to break it? Because, I mean, these guys, you figure if they could break through one line, like it's pretty much one line of defense for them to get through. It's almost like Red Rover, come on over. You know what I mean? It's going to be one of those like things where they're all going to just kind of bash into each other. And I brought it up on the pod the other day, man, that play in Dallas at the end of the half that Tyreek Hill scored that touchdown, it felt like what these plays are going to look like, because that was pretty much where I think the kicker is going to end up. It's right about where he was when he was sitting at the 35-yard line, kind of just stopped for a second and kind of bounced a little side to side and let his guys just line up in front of him. And they all just kind of blocked the guy, and he just picked a spot, wiggled his way right through. So if that happens, I mean, that could be so hard to stop. If your team's, got organized enough on the blocking side and is ready to roll, like you could pretty much set it up where it's pretty much your kick returner versus your kicker, because everybody else is covered. You got a hat on it, and that's the only person left that's free.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I'm ready to see it. I think we should be kicking off here in any 5, hopefully minutes, maybe 10 minutes here.
Yep. Right now, ESPN right now is showing me a really awesome tool bag commercial.
Yeah, that's what I'm watching now as well.
Want to go to Home Depot.
But
yeah, this is definitely going to be an interesting experience right here, man. I'm excited to see how this is going to play out, especially just to start the game. At least we get to see the first attempt right out the gate. It gives us an opportunity to kind of just, okay, how did that look for us, right? Like, what do we see here? Like, so I'm hoping that it's at least a catch and a return. So, whatever happens, I just want at least a catch and a return to kind of see how they approach it.
Yeah, like I said, I think they are almost like forced to. They're almost forced to kick it in there, unless you have unless it's like a huge difference. I highly doubt we see very many touchbacks this year.
Yeah, that would be. I think it's stupid to try for a touchback this year, unless you're literally so far ahead that a return touchdown could change things, and this is the only way it could change things.
Yeah,
I don't see any reason to go for a touchback.
Yeah,
this looks like right here they're showing us. It looks like about to do it right here, my friend. So we got these guys. Everybody's lined up. about 5 yards apart at the 40 and the 35.
They have the landing zone marked out. I was
Yep.
like, you have to kick it in there. If you don't kick it in there, you get penalized.
And see, this is where I'm looking here. Why can't we be hat for hat across that line? The only person back is the kicker and the kick returner.
Yep.
So hat for hat across that line.
Yeah, we'll see. They have 2 returners back
they
there. I
got
think
2
it's
returners.
interesting.
Yeah, I would probably not do that.
Yeah, I feel like didn't one more block. I mean, maybe he's just like a lead blocker, like a fullback.
They might now. Maybe they're required to have 2 returners back.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked into that. I mean, that was pretty exciting right there. You're at the 25-yard line. Wow, it's almost like it's a touchback. So that didn't do nothing for us.
And then you see, and it looked like everyone on the blocking team ran backwards like 6 yards before they turned around to try to block, which I'm not sure I'd like that. That approach either.
I think we're going to see some different strategies throughout the season of people doing this differently.
Yeah.
I feel like I don't think there's no experts. I mean, you had special teams guys, but these guys have never done this kickoff before. This is newly implemented. Unless you're in the XFL, you have no idea what's going on.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely how I'm thinking about it too. And these guys, the way they approached it right there. So, in my untrained, quarterback couch opinion, I definitely feel like there was 2 things that we talked about that I personally think I wouldn't have approached that way. Right, like I wouldn't have had my blockers turning around and then running backwards and then trying to turn back around and block after they've already ran their momentum 6 yards backwards. That didn't make sense to me. And then, to have the 2 kickers in the back, right? So that the 2 kickers in the back might be required. We don't know, but I definitely don't think they were required to turn around and run back 6 yards before they tried to block.
Yeah, no, I'll have to do a little bit more research on that if it's required to have 2 back there or not.
Yeah, that's definitely a question for a commenter if you got a chance. They'll get somebody in here who might help us out with that one, but that's for sure. Oh, almost catch. Those are the catches you got to make.
I think you're like 5 seconds ahead of me. So you're reacting is like I'm about to see what happens right here. And, oh, wow, that was almost a catch right there.
I'll try to keep my reaction time.
It doesn't look like they're playing Dameon Pierce, or at least if they I didn't hear he wasn't playing. So I didn't know if he's going to be the 3rd string. Is that – or is he just sitting out, you think?
That's a good question. I mean, unless he's maybe not the shotgun back.
Yeah, they have the guy. Didn't this guy play kicker for him last year for 1 game or something? Because they had all their kickers miss. Is this the guy?
The quarterback?
The running back. You don't remember that game last year? They had a running back play kicker because all their kickers were hurt or like sick or something. They had to use their backup running back.
There's a guy I'd love to see come back, Mechie. I liked him coming out of school, and then he had that unfortunate cancer situation and came back.
He's fast too. That Hutchinson had a lot of people wanting to watch him last year, wanting to draft him. He was like a late round sweeper for some people as well. So see if he picks up any value.
Yeah, he was actually, I feel like a lot of people were taking him as like the receiver last year that people thought were going to be the breakout guy.
Yeah, they thought he was going to be Puka. I was taking Justin Ross, just to put that out there. I was taking Justin Ross in every single league I ever drafted. I was like, I told my buddy, I was like, there's 2 guys I'm looking at, Puka Nacua and Justin Ross. And I think I drafted Puka Nacua and underdog like 3 times. And I drafted Justin Ross. I had like 55% exposure rate of Justin Ross. And that did not work out too well, to say the least.
And then how many of those did you take over the opportunity to take Puka when he was sitting there?
Yeah, a lot. That's what I'm saying. I was like, because it was like the last round. Puka was going in the last round of underdogs almost every single time. And so I was and so was Justin Ross. So I was like, these 2 guys. I took Puka way less because I was like, a sixth round pick, right? He was a 6th round pick, something like that.
Yeah, 5th or 6th.
Yeah, and I was like, he's probably not going to hit. Justin Ross, like he was projected to go 1st round when he first was like establishing, got hurt, didn't play. I was like, oh, he has the talent. And so I was betting on talent, but apparently he does not have the talent.
Did it have anything to do with his landing spot?
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping he'd have. There was no receivers there last year. It's like he's wide open. Nope.
Yeah, exactly. I would have done the same thing at the time. I got lucky on a couple of leagues with Puka because I had one guy who was hyping him up in a league so much that I had to take a look at him. And then at a certain point, it was like, and it was so late in those drafts that he was going that I was like, he's the only guy at this point with even name recognition.
Exactly.
You know,
And then,
so late.
I was in a dynasty league. I think it was Daniel. Sorry, D Payne, but I think you traded away, if I remember correctly, Puka Nacua for like Justin Ross straight up or something like that. He drafted Nacua and wanted Ross. I believe it was some trade like that. Sorry to hate on you, Daniel, but it was like this guy was like, "Oh, I love Puka."
That deserves hate. That deserves hate right there. That one.
But yeah, it was like
he probably hates himself for that one. Oh snap! Well, it looks like Houston's moving the ball okay so far.
Well, thanks for letting me know. I'm guessing they make this third down or first. I said just first down.
Oh man! So did you look over betting at all? So I was talking to our good friend Tortoise the other day, and he was telling me about the underdog bet that was available for this game. And the way they had it set up, it was one of those daily fantasy setups, where you had your captain. I think it was like 4 or 6 starting spots and a captain. Mm-hmm. And it was like a $5 bet or 50,000 guaranteed tournament. And everybody was the same amount for the price, right? So your captain was always going to be this amount. And no matter what 4 players you picked and what captain you picked, you were spending your whole amount and it was all the same. So you could just pick whoever you thought was going to be the outcome. Because basically they were, in my opinion, it felt like they were saying, hey, we don't even have any idea who's going to be the best one. So you can just pick whoever you want. They're all going to cost the same. And I told him, I was like, for $5, I would do it. Number one, no problem. And it's like, to me, I would have picked, and I told him, I said, I'm taking running backs, I'm taking quarterbacks, and I'm taking defenses. Right. And I said, I might even captain a defense in that scenario. Because the defense is on the field for 4 quarters minimum. Everybody else, you'll get maybe a quarter and a half. So it's between a quarterback and it's between the defense for the captain position, in my opinion. And then from there, I would have played, if I didn't play the quarterback as a captain, he's definitely going to be on my squad. I'd probably play both the backup quarterbacks, the top quarterback backup for each team. And then I'd play the top running back backup for each team, and then I'd have my one flex position, basically, that you would just pick whoever you might think is going to come up strong in the game, or the other defense even.
But I'm honestly not doing anything with these preseason games. I hate preseason games completely.
So but that scenario, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't put $5 to win 10 grand.
I think that's just like it's like putting the $5 in a slot machine and hoping it gives you money back. Like,
dude, that's like a Big Mac, bro. I'll spend a Big Mac to try to win 10 grand.
But then you're like, oh, if I was so close, I gotta do it again. And then you do it for every single preseason game.
$5, man.
Yeah, but then you spread it out over 85 games, and you're like, wow, that's $500.
All you gotta do is hit once, brother.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. I'm glad to see Short Stack in the comments here. Thanks for tuning in, Short Stack.
Yeah, I appreciate you, brother. Definitely. Looks like they're in the red zone here too, so we might get our first score, which is going to give us another kickoff. Oh, touchdown! Aha, gotcha.
Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, it doesn't look like Dameon Pierce is playing. I think Scott said he was excited to watch him, so I was kind of hoping. I drafted him in a couple leagues. I heard he's splitting the backfield with Mixon. Did you hear that?
Really?
I don't know if it was like a 50-50 split, but it was like we're gonna get Dameon Pierce his touches, something like that. Kind of like what they said with Algier a few weeks back or whatever, or this week I think it was. We're gonna lean on him, is what they said about Algier. So I think they said very similar things about Dameon Pierce, if I remember, out of camp. So,
all right, I think I could say it now. We got ourselves a touchdown.
Just happened.
I was waiting for your reaction so I can say.
All right, that's it. I'm drafting Davis Mills. You don't have to count me in.
I think Davis Mills is one of the most underrated backup quarterbacks in the league.
Oh, come on, dude.
As a backup, I think he's a solid backup, dude.
Yeah, he might be a solid backup, but underrated backup has got to be the worst term in all of football.
It is pretty contradicting.
Yeah. I think Trey Lance is a underrated backup.
Trey Lance, the guy who's struggling, can't even take two reps in practice.
Who do you think the best backup in football is right now? Like, if you had to pick one guy that's a backup to back up your quarterback, who would it be?
It's a good question.
Joe Flacco?
I don't know. I don't think so, because I think Joe Flacco would just hit a flash in the pan moment, and I think that was the best we're going to see of Joe Flacco.
I don't know. Joe Flacco's a Hall of Famer.
Well, I mean, yeah, because of everything prior to that, but I mean, he's old as hell, and the last 4 years prior to this year was pretty bad.
Who's the first backup going? Yeah, James Griffin said Fields, but we're not even sure.
That's Maui James, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, we're not even sure that he's going to be the backup. So I guess the backup in Pittsburgh probably.
Yeah, whoever it is, right? Whoever it is. Yeah. Sam Howell, that's not a bad one.
Yeah, he also had a good year to start out last year.
Yeah. What about Tyrod Taylor?
No, get out of here with the Bills, dude.
No, I'm just not. He's not even on the Bills. Come on.
Yeah, he'll always be a Bill.
He used to be on the Bills, took us to the playoffs for the first time in 17 years, I think it was. But, hey, it's not my fault. I'm just saying he's a good backup quarterback in the league, dude. Like, if your guy goes down and Tyrod's your backup, how like, horrible is that? I think that's better than a lot of other opportunities that are out there.
I wouldn't call him the best, but I think he's a playable backup. He's not like your – who was it that backed up Burrow last year that was just god-awful?
That backed up Burrow? Was it the other Allen? Was it Kyle Allen?
No, he backed up Josh Allen, I thought. Or is that not last year?
Yeah, he did. No, he did last year. No. I think the year before he was in Cincy.
Yeah, who backed up? It was like Rutherford or some name like that.
Yeah. I can't think of it. And he's still the backup there, actually, isn't he? Everybody's talking about, like, oh, man, if you got Burrow, you got to make sure you take this guy. And I'm like, do we want to even play that guy? Like, if you got it, like, would you play him over your like first bench flex spot? Like, I don't know, probably not.
My buddy just texted me and said it was Browning. He's watching me. I couldn't remember the name.
That's Maui James right there. He's the stat guy.
Yeah, he got it too. James got it too. He likes Browning. You can't say you like Browning. Come on. There's nobody in the world.
As long as there's no walnuts
that liked Browning.
As long as there's no walnuts in it.
That's brownies.
But that's where we need Sarah with our sound effect. Oh, here we got another kickoff coming. All right, so let's see if they do the same thing where they turn around and run backwards.
Yeah, let's see their strategy. Who do they have returning? Do they have anybody big returning? Tariq
They're not even moving until he catches the ball. And then they didn't turn around or anything. Oh, if he didn't slip, dude, there was a lane too. Man. See, they didn't do – I like their strategy a lot better.
A little bit better, yeah.
Yeah, like all their people just literally stayed, right? Nobody moved at all until the ball got caught. And then as soon as they caught it, they just started turning around and block, dude.
They have Tyler Scott. I know he was like a deep sleeper people were playing with last year. So,
yeah, I definitely like that strategy better. And so, I mean, that's for me, right? Neither of them actually didn't even work as good as the last one, but I think that had more to do with the guy slipping than anything else.
Yeah, that's that field we were talking about before the show. People didn't really want their starters playing on it.
Yeah, that's what for those of you that weren't in the prep show with us, which is everybody, we were talking about how the field, this field is notoriously bad. And if you had the 1.1 pick and, you had Rome Odunze, I wouldn't trot them out on this field. Not for this game. No way. That the backups are basically your starters for this game, no matter who you are, in my opinion. Until they get a field.
Anybody you're excited to see on the Bears offense here?
That guy who just ran the ball, actually. Mr. Roshan Johnson. I'd like to see him. I mean, there was a lot of hype about him, man. Like everybody was talking about the only problem with him was he was always stuck behind some amazing talent. And that was the only reason he was never given an opportunity. Yeah. And
that was like, he was one of I was picking him around like Tajay Spears and those players like that. They got like a guy that just is going to get touches in front of him. Kind of sucks. I had Roshan Johnson, Tajay Spears, and somebody else that just had a guy just get signed with him. Rico Dowdle. When they signed Zeke, I had all three of those running backs in one of my dynasties, and I was like, "Wow!" Now I just, lost all that value. But
should have traded him away while you had the chance.
Yeah, for real. I think I did trade away Spears, but I don't remember exactly what I got in return for him in that league. But I still do like Spears. I still think Spears is probably the top dog there. I like Roshan. I think Roshan is going to be a Bear for a while, so I don't know if Swift is. Swift seems to bounce around quite a bit. I mean, got cut by the Lions, 2 years in his career, and then
Swift definitely is like a volatile player. Yeah. It seems like there's something about him that he just can't lock it down everywhere he's going. You know what I mean? Like some people are given a lot of opportunity and never take advantage. Some people are never given opportunity, but always look like they take advantage of whatever they're given. Yeah. He's definitely the first one, man, because I have a hard time with how much talent he has, how much expectation he has, and then the level of play that we get out of him is so damn inconsistent. Drives me up a wall. He started out on fire last year for like 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden he just fell off. You know what I mean? Like it seems like that's him every time.
Yeah, I think it was a lot. The Eagles fell off last year, though, right? Like it was like their whole offense just felt bad. Like what was it, like week 8 and on? It was just
It felt like they were ticking time bomb like for a good few weeks before they actually started losing.
Like they were winning. Even when they were winning, it was like they were coming back from like 21 to Washington, and like it was like some just bad games, and they were like got lucky, honestly, and then. Then they finally started losing
the same way. I think it might have even started kind of with the Bills game for them because they started out great against us for the first half or so, and then we came out and just on fire, and they just fell apart, and they barely hung on to that game, man. Like just some dumb luck overtime type scenarios gave them that victory, and then they just fell apart after that. It seemed like so whatever happened to them at that point in the season definitely changed their outcome because they were. They were definitely a different squad, like tale of two teams, Yeah,
and I was like, I think I was picking them to go, even like after that like discombobulated games they had at the end of the year and stuff like that. I was still picking them to go to like the NFC Championship game and stuff. I was like, don't sleep on them. They'll figure it out. They have too much talent. Good head coach or decent head coach that's been there before, Stransky, and then I think they had the worst game of the year, that wild card game against Tampa Bay.
Yep.
So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, they have a whole different offensive coordinator this year, so we'll see what happens. But
he took the burden for all of the mishaps there. So
he did. I don't know how much of that was his fault either. Oh, come on, Roshan, you better get that.
You have a comment. We have a guy that's newer to the channel is asking you about the Bills. I don't like that he's asking you about the Bills, but.
He's asking about Coleman's being the wide receiver 1. So I definitely think there's a path for that to happen. I just don't think it's going to be until midway through the season at least. I see his progression similar to Dalton Kincaid's last season where he started to come on after about week 6, week 7. And then, he'll start to progress farther and farther along. I honestly think that the end of the season wide receiver end of the season wide receiver 1 for Buffalo is going to be Khalil Shakir. That's my honest to God opinion is I think Khalil Shakir becomes that guy for him in the wide receiver position. Now, target wise and overall number 1 on the target aspect is Dalton Kincaid. So the wide receiver 1 is going to be the number 2, but I believe it'll be Khalil Shakir.
He's not happy about that comment, but what about all the Curtis Samuel like hype that's coming out of the camp? Have you seen that?
Yeah, I like Curtis Samuel too. I mean, I hate to do this comparison, but it's, just basically kind of help people understand, I see Khalil Shakir getting more of the Diggs type of targets from before, and I see Curtis Samuel getting more of the Gabe Davis type of targets before. Not to say it's going to be the deep shots and all that, but ratio, as far as ratio, that's kind of where I'm at with it. So, I do think that it won't be nearly as many targets as Diggs got because Dalton Kincaid's going to snag quite a few of them. And then, Khalil's going to be the next guy in line, and then it'll be Samuel, And then from there, they're really hyping up Mac Hollins. There's a lot of love about.
There was a lot of hype about Mac last year too, I believe.
Yeah, he's
Atlanta.
Really great locker room.
He was like had these pictures of his arms, like wrestler style, like bulky and stuff, and him catching the ball. Like it was like a lot of stuff like that for a hype about him. So, what do you think? Do you think Kincaid honestly showed you enough last year to be like the top target for Josh Allen? Like I feel like he was kind of disappointing after the first like week or two, talent wise. Like I think he had a couple of weeks where he had like one catch and stuff like that. What did you think about that?
You talking about Kincaid?
Yeah, Kincaid.
No way, brother. I mean, number one, so my opinion on Kincaid is always going to be rosy. It's always going to be rosy. I mean, the kid went to my high school. He's from my hometown, plays for my squad. I'm not going to be able to say anything bad about him. I just can't. But I do honestly think that his slow start to the season just has to do with him being a rookie, and our team, our coaching staff, always brings rookies along slow. That's been their MO from day one on the offensive side, I should say more so. They do play defensive rookies a lot faster, but offensive rookies, they always start them out slow. They always give them time to develop. And I think they try to do that because they don't want to have anybody come out there and, have a hard time early on and then have to work through that mental hurdle. So I really do feel that they do that on purpose. And that's one of those things that's why I don't believe that Kincaid will be, or I'm sorry, not Kincaid, Coleman will be the wide receiver one out the gate because of that same exact philosophy.
What do you think about these questions you have here? Knox cutting into Kincaid's targets. I heard that out of camp. He's asking if you believe that. And then you have a question about James Cook. You got a bunch of Bills in here. What are we doing?
I love it. No, let's do it. I don't think Knox cuts into Dalton Kincaid's targets. I think Knox is still going to get the same amount of targets that he was getting before Kincaid was on the team. I think the targets that Kincaid's going to get are coming from the wide receiver vacated targets.
Yeah.
So if I say that Shakir is the wide receiver one, that doesn't mean that Shakir is going to be like this massive target getter. It just that I think the wide receivers are going to be pretty close in targets across the board. It's going to be Dalton that's going to be a step above everybody, and then the wide receivers at a much smaller steps between them. So
it was like the Bills and the Chargers had the most vacated targets from last year. The Chargers obviously losing Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and the Bills losing top dog Gabe Davis and little dog Stephon Diggs.
Yep. So. And that's an offense that I could see one guy becoming the main guy and being that target hog, because I don't, Quentin Johnston, everybody's talking stone hands on him. I'm really disappointed because I've drafted him quite a bit, but he's definitely somebody who's scaring me. Josh Palmer, I think, is good, but I think he's just a guy. I don't think he's ever going to be like a stud, so Lad McConkey could step in right away and be.
I think Lad takes that. He's had a really good camp I've seen. What about the James Cook? How do you feel about James Cook? Short stats asking about James Cook.
So I like James Cook a lot. I've taken him in quite a few leagues too. I definitely think that Ray Davis has potential to eat into his share. I do. I think they really like Ray. I've been hearing a lot of great things about him. And James has been notorious for fumbling and notorious for dropping passes. And if he does any of those things early in the season this year, our coach has done it before. Our coach will do it again. Is he will doghouse somebody and he'll sit him for half a game, the rest of a game. Like he will do that. And if he does that and Ray Davis steps in there and looks good and number one can pass block and then comes in and has softer hands, doesn't fumble the ball, then I would not be shocked at all if Ray Davis doesn't become our RB1 by the end of the season.
So, I like this comment a lot, Sean. What do you think about this comment right here? What's your thoughts?
They're daddy Patriots. I mean, come on now. It's been like 6 years since the Patriots were even competitive. I mean, geez, you guys had the third pick this year. You'll probably have the first pick next year. Like, I mean, you guys have had your time. Just move on. Like Christopher Walken would say, the past is the past. The future is now.
Yeah, let's move on to the Packers here. We got a question about the Packers wide receiver one. I think me and you are in disagreement. I think we're both in agreement with Jaden Reed as their one. Is that right? Or do you have Watson as their one?
Oh, I have Watson as their one.
See, I have Jaden Reed and then Witz, and you have Watson and then Reed.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I believe.
Watson,
I think it's clear that it's Jaden Reed. Honestly, targets wise, maybe fantasy points wise, Christian Watson, if he stays healthy, has a chance.
How do you say that you think it's clear? Because I need some description on
for
that.
targets. I think it's clear.
If I'm not mistaken, when Watson was healthy and playing, he had the higher target share. When they were both healthy
over the rookie Reed, yeah, I would expect that over the rookie Reed. The same situation with Knotts and Kincaid. Knotts had way more targets.
You're telling me that now that he has two of the same size hamstrings, he's not going to get back to being the over target share, the higher target share.
I think he's going to pull one again and then claim it's a different size. Yep.
He's snap percentage. He's asking about snap percentage. Are you talking about the Jaden Reed versus Christian Watson? Clarify for us, Mark. Trevor, did you put that DraftKings lineup in, Trevor? You're going to sit here and talk about it.
Yeah, Reed was a rookie last year. I mean, I'm not real concerned about his snap percentage. We got Kincaid Love in here. He was a rookie, and Reed was like their second rookie pick last year. So I'm not too concerned. It went down as the season went on. I think he had a couple injuries on the back end there. I think he got injured in the Tampa Bay game. He's coming back from it in the Minnesota game.
Mark, you feel free to chime in anytime you want, my friend. I'm liking your comments.
About Watson's. How many games did Watson play last year? Let's see.
Why you guys say his name like that?
Watson.
Yeah, why you gotta say it like you got something stuck in your throat?
Watson.
You're making it all sound bad.
One,
I'm telling
two,
you, bro. You want to put a pub sub on it? You want to do a pub sub on Jaden Reed, Christian Watson?
What's the pub sub? Who scores more fantasy points or who has more targets?
I
knew either one.
Let the audience decide. You guys tell us what you guys want us to use.
So this will be our fourth one. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, so
I'm going to feed an entire homeless camp with all these extra subs I'm getting.
Well, I already know I've won two of them. The Bills are not winning the division. And then Ezekiel Elliott is definitely outscoring Jonathan Brooks. What is our third one? That's the only two I remember. And then this one is third.
So did you guys hear those two that he just mentioned? How do you guys feel about those two specifically? Because each one of those is completely opposite. I'm the one that's basically guaranteed the victory. Zeke Elliott outscoring Jonathan Brooks, guys. Zeke Elliott outscoring Jonathan Brooks. That is ridiculous.
Week one. It's week one. And Jonathan Brooks is not playing. Yeah, it's week one.
Is it week one? Okay. If it's week one, then you might have a shot at it. I thought it was all full season one. I have so many going, I can't remember the specifics on all of them.
Here, I'll highlight this one for you. You'll like this.
He's just looking for shock jock value out of those comments. We all know the truth about the Patriots.
Yeah, so I don't think Mark. The reason I say Jonathan Brooks isn't outscoring Zeke week one is because Jonathan Brooks, I believe, will not be ready by week one. He's coming off of an ACL injury that was pretty serious last year, so he didn't finish the year for the Longhorns
He's also
last year.
20 years old and already running in camp and just went on the pup.
Yeah, he was also did he come off a pup finally?
I don't
even
think
if
so.
he comes off, even if he plays week one, I don't see him as a starter.
I hope he doesn't come off yet. I'm gonna have to drop a guy and pull him off my IR on a few leagues if he does. So
you'll just trade him with $65 and they'll get Jamar Chase or whatever. I'm
just waiting for week one when somebody's quarterback goes down and I get hit up for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's keep talking Bills, guys. Any more Bills questions?
No. Oh, yeah. The Bills are not. That's our second one. The Bills are not winning the division. I see the Dolphins.
That's great.
I see the Dolphins winning the division. I think the Jets are very competitive. I can't see the Bills. I think they got worse, and I think the Jets and the Dolphins both got better this year, this offseason. So.
I mean, I guess I could see your reasoning there, but it's not like they were that close in the end of last season either, as far as like the way they were playing. I wouldn't say their Dolphins were close record-wise, but it was obvious that they were not playing well by the end of the season. So
yeah, and I mean, I don't think I think the Bills come in third. I think I told you they probably finish 7th or 6th or 7th. I think they make the playoffs. I think they probably lose round one. I
This
just
is
I
why
can't. I think Allen turns the ball over too much for the playoffs. Playoffs is a much stronger game, and that's why they haven't been winning. He just turns the ball over too much. We got another question in here. Better fantasy year, Bijan or Hall? I like the questions, Mark. What do you think, Sean?
That's a good one. That is a good one. I'm probably gonna lean towards Bijan mainly because I have more faith in that team offensively than I do in the Jets offensively. The Jets are literally one, 40-year-old Achilles away from having another horrible season. So I have to lean Bijan, but it's very close. It's like a 1A.
I agree. I think Bijan probably outscores Hall, especially if we're talking PPR. I think Bijan gets a little bit more work in the past games, screens, and outside pass. If we're talking half PPR, I don't even know if I flip them. Might just make it evened out. But I think it's Bijan for now, unless something comes out of camp. I mean, although Algier got a lot of carries last year, and they're saying he's going to get more this year. Not more, but basically the same workload he had last year. That kind of scares me a little bit, but I know they got Arthur Smith out of there. So
Arthur Smith. That's always my favorite nickname for him.
We have another question. What's it? Raheem Mostert. What's your thoughts on Raheem Mostert?
I like Mostert, but he's just scary, man, because he's so old. And everybody forgets because he had a healthy season that I think it was his first full healthy season in a long time last year. So, this is not consistent.
I think since his breakout year in San Fran, where he had like 200 rushing yards against the Packers in the playoffs, was the last big year he had. But I think Mostert's one of the most underdrafted redraft players because he finished really high and he's going past some of these guys that are not even starters. I feel like he should be going higher. I'm trying to pick him up in most of my redrafts, but he's not falling. I'm trying to get him to fall further than he probably should. I'm not taking him where I have him ranked, which is probably a mistake, but he is falling.
Like that is 100% a mistake. Like
if
you're talking about how he's falling, but he's not falling far enough to where you take him.
He's not falling. So I'm like, I try to like plan out my drafts to where I see like sleeper, because so many people pay attention to sleeper ADP, and sleeper ADP is absolutely terrible. If you haven't noticed, it's absolutely terrible. And so I'm like paying attention to sleeper ADP. I was like, I know Mostert should go right here, so I'm gonna take this player, and because Mostert's far down on the ADP, and so I'm like, he can probably wrap around and I can get him next. And usually doesn't happen that way. Somebody usually, is an ADP merchant like me. So
yeah. That's usually what happens too. Like that's why those types of guys, in my opinion, like if you're sitting there and you're contemplating between a guy you really want and there's enough picks between you that you're that concerned about it, just take the guy you want. Don't stress over it too much. Even if you feel like it's a slight reach, there's always guys that at the end of the season that we look at like, oh man, that's a terrible pick, and then by the end of the year they look like geniuses.
What about Jalen McMillan? Is that a terrible pick or no?
Oh no, that was a terrible pick. I mean, you can't justify that one. That was a bad pick.
What about Trevor's comment here? You like that comment?
See, how much did you spend on Temu for all those horrible? Oh, you're terrible. So first of all, this T-shirt was a present from my mom for Christmas. So
is that like a boneless wing with like celery as the wings?
It's a chicken wing with the celery. Yep, exactly. That's right.
We got a Patriots question here. I know you're gonna have fun answering this one. Demario Douglas, Javon Baker, or Polk as their wide receiver one?
I'm gonna probably lean Douglas just because I think that he's experienced. The other guys are rookies, so But if they decide at this point, like, hey, we're a tire fire anyway, let's just go ahead and give our guys reps and get our young guys out there. Then I personally think that Baker has the best potential out of their rookies to be the guy in the end of the season.
Yeah,
so
I think
that's probably the order to go in.
I would probably go Douglas. I'm probably leaning Douglas. I've heard a lot about it from their camp that he's leaning as their wide receiver one. I've also heard great things about Baker and Polk though too. If I was picking one, I would go Polk first. It might be a little unpopular. I think what they spend a first round pick or second round pick on him?
Second
Round pick. Yeah. So,
but it was early.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I would lean Polk. I really love Javon Baker. I was talking about him early in the offseason last year, real early in the offseason, or this year, early in the offseason, taking him in rookie drafts in the 4th round and stuff before he ever had a name.
Yeah.
Douglas, I like Douglas. I think he's probably their top targeted player. I think Polk probably takes their touchdowns and is their better fantasy scorer, but Douglas might be the wide receiver 1 in terms of targets.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be pretty much like whoever decides that they want to be the best is going to have a shot at it, really, because it's all open game for everybody on that team now.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of Javon Baker like highlights and stuff out of camp. He's had some good plays there. So
there's a lot of people that liked him better than Polk too. Like they had him rated higher than Polk on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of Baker love after his I think it was his combine performance that really stood out to a lot of people. So we got a flag on these kickoffs. Let's see what this is about.
Oh yeah, we did. We had a flag there.
How do you get a flag when you're not supposed to move? Did somebody move?
I don't know. That's what I'm going to have to find out here. Hopefully they'll explain it here. They decided, I think they didn't anticipate a flag, so they decided to go to an interview with a former player on the sideline.
Old Dwight Freeney.
Oh man, look how much weight he lost, man. He was a lot bigger than that when he was throwing dudes around, right?
Yeah, he was a monster.
Yeah, he was, dude. It's funny how these guys, when they retire within, months, they're just like
Joe Thomas. Joe Thomas, holy cow, dude. That his train is like
right? Like seeing his body style now, I'm like, how hard was it for you to keep the weight on that you were playing with? Because dude, like he looked like he was built different when he was a player, but you see he got rid of all that girth, and it's like, oh my god, that was your body build the whole time. Like you're a tall, skinny guy.
What about Gronkowski too? Gronkowski slimmed down a lot as well, not as much as Joe Thomas, obviously, but Joe Thomas was carrying a lot. But Gronkowski's like a slim dude now. We all tell him he's taking steroids when he was playing.
My guess is honestly for a lot of them though too, especially a guy like Gronk. I mean, he had histories of back problems, from college on. So like somebody like that, when you have all that body weight you're carrying around, when you don't have to do that anymore and you don't need to do that, like it probably feels so much better on all their bodies, their joints and everything to just drop that much weight and not have to be moving it all around and everything like a guy like Joe Thomas, man. I mean, gosh, like imagine hauling around in an extra 80-pound backpack all day long.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like that's basically what his body was doing every time he would just get up to live. It's crazy,
Okay, we got some nasty comments in here.
I love it. Hey, don't worry about it, brother. I just like talking mess about him too. So you give me opportunity, I'm all for it.
We got Laporta question. Him repeating last year. I think I have Kelsey ahead of him. I still think Laporta gets a ton of targets.
I got Kincaid as my tight end 1. So
your Bills propaganda has got to stop.
It's not about
any conversation you have. You're like, this Bill, this former Bill.
I can't help it. I can't help it. They're all amazing. Yeah. It's the best team in football. I mean, what can I say?
Kincaid over Laporta. I disagree.
I don't think this year will be great, but I think long-term Bowers will be awesome. I think this year I wouldn't want to draft him this year with the situation they're in.
I like Bowers both. I like Bowers in Dynasty, and I like him in redraft where he's going. He's going at like tight end 12, I believe, or something like that.
Taking over like a Pat Freiermuth?
I'm taking Bowers way over Pat Freiermuth. I think Bowers. I mean, he got drafted very similar to what Kyle Pitts did. I think Pitts went 4th and Bowers went 9th or something, but he has the talent to be something that we haven't seen at the tight end position before. We got Vikings offense. What do you guys think about the Vikings offense as far as production?
All right, you got to watch the play that's about to happen on your TV screen.
That was not a fumble. That was incomplete.
Did you see it?
Yeah. He scored it out, and then he scored it back to him. Wow.
Yeah, like that is a preseason play right there.
Yeah.
Anybody wants to understand why preseason is not as exciting, you can just show them that one play right there, and they'll get it.
Yeah. Vikings, I've seen a lot of J.J. McCarthy hype out of camp. Surprisingly, I think early in the offseason, it was like he was turning the ball over. stuff like that. And then like as the camp went on, he's not turning the ball over. He has like the most touchdowns out of any rookie in the camps, like 19-1 with one interception or something like that. So I'm actually getting more excited about Jefferson and Addison and my guy Hawk when he gets back in week 6 or 7. So
do you think that they're going to actually start JJ?
I wasn't sure about that. Like I was thinking they were going to start Sam Darnold, but what I've seen on Twitter, and Twitter's the Bible, so you just got to take it as it is. Sam Darnold's had a bad camp. Like he's turned the ball over. He hasn't looked great. And then JJ McCarthy's done the opposite. He hasn't turned the ball over, and he's looked, I still probably lean Sam Darnold starts for probably 4 games. But I wouldn't be surprised now with the camp that JJ has. What's up?
So their bye week is week 6. So they could easily start Sam for 5 weeks. And I can't remember, like somebody help us out in the comments, guys, if you can pull up their schedule real quick and let us know who their first 5 opponents are before their bye week. I think that would make a big difference to me if I was in the coaching staff on whether or not I'd want to start playing JJ or not. Like if we're running a gauntlet for the first 5 weeks of the season where we got some like, Niners or, some Packers, like something like that going on, like I would probably want to leave the rookie on the sideline for those 5 weeks. And so, because I don't want to kill this kid's confidence, man. We invested a lot into him, and I wouldn't want to throw him to the wolves per se.
Yeah, I mean, if they're that confident in JJ, like he can win now, like he's just killing it at camp, he's making all the right reads. I don't see a problem with starting him week 1. They say the Raiders, Browns, Eagles, Giants, 49ers, they had a couple tough games. Browns have a good defense. Eagles can be tough, and the 49ers are one of probably the best hardest teams you can face. But you got the Raiders
game, having that as your week 1 game, that might give you an opportunity to say, hey, we could give him a shot. The thing is, for me, it's tough because say you throw him in with the Raiders game and
that's preseason.
Has a hard time. Oh, that was preseason.
Oh, come on, Mark. God dang it.
Mark.
I'm excited. Like they play Raiders week 1.
I was getting ready to break that down, brother. It's okay. Hook us up with weeks 1 through 5 if you can, and we'll count it as okay. We'll give you a pass on that one.
It's the Giants. They still start with the Giants, which, like you said, it's still about the same as then they go the 49ers, Texans, Packers, Jets. Yeah, that's a pretty tough schedule there.
Yeah. See, that's where I'd probably not start JJ. I'd probably just put
even
Sam
if he's
out
like,
there.
Even if he's like, CJ Stroud, like.
Okay, so if he comes out in the preseason, he's looking good. He's really like that much in control of this offense. Then, I mean, yeah, you have no choice. You have to play him. But like he's gotta really be like head and shoulders obvious. Like it'd be stupid not to. Like, who was it Cleveland? I want to say that had a similar scenario happen out there when they drafted Baker. Wasn't that first season with Baker? He was killing it in preseason. He was killing it in camp, and they played. Who was the starting quarterback they played over him? It might have even been Tyrod, now that I'm thinking about it. They played somebody else at quarterback, and it was their 0-16 season, I believe, right? Or something like that.
I don't think he was there for that. I think he, like,
was it the year?
You'll be right. I don't remember exactly, but I think
the year after, when did he get drafted after the 0-16?
Because he was the first overall, and I think that's probably after that 0-16 year.
I want to say Hugh Jackson was the head coach. For that, and that was like the one season of his that he was the head coach there. But I feel like it was a very similar scenario to what we kind of broke down right there.
Yeah,
they tried to sit Baker, play, and then it basically fell apart for him by the time they put Baker in. Like the team was just in disarray. So I think that you could have the same scenario happen in Minnesota if you sit him, right? If he's that much better, like you gotta play him.
Yeah. So his first year they went 6-7. He started 13.
So it was like about 5 weeks or 4 weeks then that he
started 13. In 2018 they still played 8 or 16, right? So he started
week 4. Was his first game.
Yeah. So
that, I mean, that scenario definitely didn't work out the way that you anticipate by not starting your guy that's obviously better. So if it's that big of a difference, you got to do it.
Yeah, there's other scenarios where you start your guy and he gets hurt week 1 too. So it's like you really don't want that to happen either.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you're Patrick Mahomes and you're like triple jointed in every damn joint, never get hurt.
And he was more about fantasy production. Like I said, I'm pretty excited about JJ and Addison. Regardless, I'm getting more excited as the season goes on. That might just be because the season's coming
Do you
closer.
think Addison gets suspended?
Who?
Do you think Addison gets suspended?
No, I think I said that like the day after it happened. I don't think because even they have to suspend Rice first, and that hasn't happened. And
Rice's legal situation is more complicated, so it could take longer to figure all that out legally before.
Addison, it's just like Addison
deal and finish it off real quick.
Yeah, but Addison, he didn't even hit anybody. There's no, he was asleep in a highway or something, or on the side of the road or something like that. So, I don't think he gets suspended for that. I mean, there's been worse incidences that haven't been suspended, or that's taken a while. Like even, so. This field's terrible. What else we got here? Bills or Patriots receiving core? I think probably the Patriots is overall a little bit better. You don't think so? I think they have.
But why? I mean, who do they have there that's really worth their salt? Like that.
I don't know. Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. I'm a little bit more excited about the Patriots receiver core. Quarterback.
I'm undervaluing what Khalil Shakir brings to the table. I really do. I think everybody's overlooking.
If we're just comparing receiver cores, I think the Patriots win. But with Josh Allen there and Drake May, I think that's why the receivers for the Patriots are not as highly drafted as the Bills receivers.
Oh no, I agree with that 100%. But I also think the Bills have a better receiving core overall. I don't see the top end potential anywhere in the Patriots. Like Polk is their best guy, Baker maybe, and I think Keon Coleman is talent wise and potential wise a lot better than either of those two players could even come close to. So the Bills have a potential wide receiver one. I don't see that in the Patriots right now.
Well, we got one last question here. Aaron Rodgers better than last year. I mean, obviously.
He better. I mean, if he plays more than 4 plays, he did better than last year, right?
Yeah. Throw one pass. That's all he has to do.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, definitely if he actually plays, I think he'll definitely be better, than he probably was the year before even. Because Rodgers has that in him where if he feels slighted in any way, he does come out on fire the next year and try to prove himself. So,
yeah, that's what happened with his back-to-back MVP years, right?
Yeah, when he kept stealing all the running back 1-yard plunges by pulling the ball out and just throwing it to Devontae instead. Like that, he'll do stuff like that. So, Garrett Wilson might have an amazing season this year because of that.
Yeah, I love Garrett Wilson. I was hoping he was head of the year last year. That's who I was picking a lot was Garrett Wilson last year, and it helped a little bit, but not where he was drafted. I think he finished like wide receiver 20 or something like that.
Yeah. Well, it sucks because that injury just destroyed his projections from that point. I mean, you got Zach Wilson. No matter how good Aaron Rodgers or how old he is, like anything is an upgrade over Zach Wilson at that point. So I definitely think that his fantasy value just took a dip solely for that reason, and that you couldn't expect much more than wide receiver 20, top 20 out of him. That was I think that was the best outcome you could anticipate.
Yeah, I think the Bills were the Jets were a little out of function too, because they had a couple of games where they fed Dalvin, and then a couple of games where they didn't feed Dalvin. They had a couple of games where they gave the ball every time to Brees, and then a couple of games where they didn't let Brees touch it. And then it's just games like that with Garrett Wilson too. I think there was one game I was in like the playoffs, or I needed a Garrett Wilson like 5-point performance, and he gave me a 0.3 or something like that, and it's just pretty frustrating.
Yeah,
as a fantasy fan.
Yeah, I get that, man. I mean, the Jets offense is such like the whole offense on that team is all going to depend on what happens with Aaron Rodgers. I think, with the exception of maybe Breece Hall, because they do have a more competent backup now where I could see them shift into just more run heavy.
And they have a better line. They have a way better line.
Yes,
so
that's true. That's something we haven't talked about, which we should definitely mention, is they've changed their offensive line quite a bit this year. So I mean, that Mekhi Becton pick put him back quite a few years on their offensive line. So feels like they finally have a path to fixing that problem. So it's definitely going to be interesting. The AFC East is closer than it's been in a long time. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the Jets can do. Their defense is overall well run. They got some really young guys there. Clemens is another A&M guy. He's been breaking out the hype. He's like he had a good year last year. I mean, he has some anger issues, big dude, but
New Jersey's the perfect spot for him then. So I got a question for you, man, just out of curiosity. What do you think is going to be the most competitive division this year? Right? Doesn't have to be the best, but just the most competitive.
Well, what's the Saints, Carolina, Tampa Bay, like madness of terrible teams? Like that one might be up there.
Like everybody's like 7 and 8. Like,
yeah, I think what Tampa Bay won it and they were 9 and 8 last year or something like that. It's like I feel like that's probably gonna happen with that division again. Tampa Bay probably will still win it, but they'll all be up there beating each other.
Yeah. I honestly think Hard Knocks got it right, bro. I think it's going to be Cincy, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland.
Yeah, I think that one has. Yeah, that one's pretty good too. I think the madness of the terrible teams is a little bit more competitive than I think. Yeah. I still think the Ravens are probably the best team in that division.
A healthy Burrow, man. The Bengals are right with them.
Yeah, the Bengals. Yeah.
So their defense is the biggest scare for me on that end. Where the Ravens definitely have a much stronger defense.
And the Ravens got Derrick Henry. I mean, the dude's. I still think he's a beast. But.
Yeah, I also do feel like your division, since you're back on your team again. Week to week, I don't know what team you're rooting for anymore. But since you're back on your Packers team this week, I definitely think that division is going to be an interesting one too. That could easily turn out to be the most competitive division in football.
Yeah, especially if JJ McCarthy performs like he's the word out of camp. That one could be good. Lions, It's Lions, Packers, Vikings, and then
Lions, Packers, Vikings, Bears.
Bears, yeah. Oh, and the Bears, yeah, because they have. That one might take the cake just because of the Bears there. With Caleb Williams and Tank Dell, Nico and Stephon, and then you got
wrong team.
Who's talking? Keenan Allen. Sorry, Keenan Allen.
You're here because they're playing the Texans right now.
Yeah, Keenan Allen.
Keenan Allen, DJ Moore, and Robert Dunze.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I'm looking at the teams right now on the screen. I'm like trying to think, and I'm flip flopping them. It's Keenan Allen, Roman Dunze, and DJ Moore.
I thought at first when you said Tank Dell, you just mixed up one name, but then you went on.
I did the whole receiving core. Yeah. And then I was like, I just missed the end one. And it was like, no, I missed all three of them.
Nah, dude, it was fun.
It was a brain fart trying to think of who is even in the division. And then when I found out, I was like, oh, yeah, they got Tank Dell. Nope, they don't even have Tank Dell. DJ Moore.
See, Tank Dell is one that I personally feel like Tank Dell is being overdrafted. I don't think that he's the wide receiver one there. I firmly believe it'll be Nico.
Yeah, but he's not getting drafted as a wide receiver one, though.
He is with a lot of people. I mean, there's I wouldn't say drafted that way, but if I'm trying to trade for him and talking to people, there's a lot of people out there that have him as the wide receiver one.
Yeah, I know. I think JoJo and there's one other our pod guys has Tank Dell. Maybe it was Zubikis. I think that's who it might have been, but I know JoJo for sure has Tank Dell. He was big into Tank Dell. I don't see him as their wide receiver one. I think he's probably the wide receiver 3. I just think they throw the ball a lot. I think CJ Stroud's just going to be able to dart them all. They all might be low end like wide receiver 2s on everybody's team. I don't think there's any main guy. I think that's probably bad for Keenan Allen. I think that's probably the worst because he doesn't have the step. after the catch that Moore and
Odunze.
God dang it, yeah.
Yeah, no, I got what you. I got what you.
I switched him again.
It's okay. It's okay. But I definitely think for me, like, so here's a good one. Like, a lot of people are projecting him higher than a guy like Devontae Smith, right? I don't see that. I think Devontae Smith is going to be the better player to have by the end of the season for sure. You know, I think he's a 1B on their offense, where I think Tank Dell, like you said, I think Tank Dell is good. I think he got a lot of targets last year. I think the Stephon Diggs move, for me, that hurt Tank Dell more than any other player on that team. I think that's where those targets are going to come from, is they're probably going to just split up a lot of those targets that were going to go to Tank are now going to go between Tank and Diggs. And I think Nico still gets his share. So that's kind of where I'm at on them. And I think guys like Devontae Smith, guys like T. Higgins is another one. You know, I think I'll take both those guys all day ahead of Tank Dell. And anytime I see Tank go ahead of him, I'm just like thankful, because I want one of those guys to drop to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Tank Dell where he's getting drafted in the way where I've drafted him in the couple of redrafts I've drafted him is like right after like George Pickens, Zay Flowers, that area. I think that's probably a good spot to draft him, in my opinion. That's like a wide receiver 2, 3. So I think I drafted him he was my wide receiver 5 last night. So it's like I'm pretty happy drafting him there. So
you do take him over Zay Flowers over George Pickens?
I don't know. I might have him right after them, so I'm not taking him over. I have Pickens over Zay Flowers also. I think Flowers went way before Pickens did, but I think
that's I got Flowers over Pickens, you know, solely for quarterback play scenario. You know, just the unknown there, and you know, Arthur Smith in that offense. I don't trust.
Yeah, but the Arthur Smith as an offensive coordinator was doing pretty well. I think that was Derrick Henry's best year. That was Ryan Tannehill's best year as a quarterback. I think as an offensive coordinator, he's a little bit different than as a head coach.
Yeah, I hope so, because I think he's terrible.
Yeah, he was the worst. I think the worst head coach in football last year.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good thing for him they didn't do a Hard Knocks episodes on his team, because he would be hated by the entire country.
I think he was. I think it was. I think
didn't even need Hard Knocks.
I think the sleeper app on Twitter was calling for him to be fired. It's like some crazy stuff going on.
I swear, man, that Arthur Smith comment was just the best, man. When I first heard that, I was like, that is such a great description. You know, and like supposedly he's some rich guy who, you know, comes from like a billionaire family or something. Like, I'm like, of course he is. Of course he is, because, you know, there's only 32 head coaching jobs out there. Let's not let the normal guys have a shot at it. Let's let some billionaire get his way in there and take one of those 32 jobs. Not like he's got that already.
What do you think the problem is with time management in these football games the last couple of years? The Cowboys have had bad time management. I know there's a couple other bad like coaches that are just like getting crap on.
Sean, I'll talk some bad about the Bills.
Yeah, like it was just like bad time management. Like, where does this come from? This is like day one stuff in Madden. It's like every Madden player you've ever, you know, everybody that's played Madden knows exactly how to run the clock, call a timeout.
You know what? I would not be surprised if it doesn't start happening at some point. And there'll be some coach that, you know, the genius coach who will maybe think about this and institute it. Is I think there'll be a coaching position that will literally be time management, end of the game, time management, like analytically evaluate, you know, on ball, kind of those types of guys that be on the sideline ready to roll in those moments, and challenges. Yeah, I think that would be like you get honestly, those two things.
I don't know how they don't have that already. Like the NBA has, like, I know a guy specifically there just to like look at his tablet and see if they should challenge a call. Like, how do they not have that for the NFL? I know they have people up in the booth like, oh yeah, maybe you should challenge that, but they don't. I don't believe they have a guy designated to just challenge it.
There should be a coach. Like, that is his job. His job every season or every week is to evaluate the team, figure out the ways that you think are going to be the right way to approach these situations if they occur, and, you know, create like a scenario so that you can have the quickest possible reaction you can get and be ready to go, and have him standing next to the coach in every one of these scenarios, right next to the head coach, right behind the head coach, like right there where it's like, coach, throw that flag, or coach, you know, this is what we should do here. Call a timeout, or, you know, let the clock bleed, or whatever, you know, like they need to have somebody there to do that. Cause I feel like head coaches are so into everything that's going on in the game. When like a challenge comes up, they almost have to like, divert their attention.
Cam Akers getting some hype in here. Cam Akers just had a nasty spin move.
Oh, did he? And I missed it?
Yeah, we're going to have – I bet after this game, we're going to have some people picking up some Cam Akers.
Oh, is that why they're all hyping up on the sidelines? Oh, yeah, they're doing something. Somebody's jumping around. Is that CJ? It's like CJ.
Yeah. Yeah. Cam Akers is going to be the number one. He's going to be the trending. I'm putting a bet. If I had to put a bet after this game, the number one trending guy will be Cam Akers.
Oh, yeah, after that spin move, of course. Yeah. Right? Unless somebody else does something crazy over here. I'll tell you. So my oldest dog is named Jackson, and I named him Jackson after Freddie Jackson. And I became a huge Freddie Jackson fan watching a preseason game, and he did a front flip over a player into the end zone for a touchdown. And it wasn't like one of those like, oh, I'm doing this to show off. It was literally like, this is the way that I need to get the ball over the goal line. And so he kind of jumped and like did this front flip in the air over the tops of these fools, fell into the end zone for a touchdown. And I'll tell you, man, I was a Freddie fan forever. Like, he was my favorite fan, my favorite player. My dog was named after him. Everything, dude. Like, and I still to this day like will root Freddie Jackson on for anything I see him doing because I just love that guy.
My first ever NFL, like my first ever fantasy football draft, I was probably I don't know 8 or 9 years old. As my brother is like, I was really big into football at that time. I think the Colts just won their first Super Bowl, or might have been maybe the year after that. And I was like, I want to get Peyton Manning. He's going to be my first pick every time. Somebody took him in front of me, and I was like pissed off, like I was an 8-year-old kid or whatever. But I watched the preseason game. I think it was like the night before the draft, or maybe 2 nights before. And Victor Cruz, before he ever had any, like he was getting drafted like 10,000th. Like he was like so far down the draft board, he didn't even have a picture on. It was Yahoo back then. He didn't have a picture on there
of a head shape.
Yeah, and I took him like, I don't know. I took him in like the 8th round, and people are like, "What is this kid doing?" Blah blah blah. And he had like the best season like a Giants receiver had, and since I don't even know when. And I think I went like 1-14, but my only reason was because Victor Cruz like popped off. But Victor Cruz is my like number one like sleeper pick, and that's when I thought I could go pro in fantasy football.
Right.
Yeah, he had like some crazy one-handed catches that preseason year.
I think fantasy is like gambling too. I think you got that like, first timers like thing where you're gonna win the first time so that it hooks you, and then like for the rest of the time like you're just like stuck. It's like the beginner's luck kind of scenario.
Yeah, it's especially if you take Jonathan Brooks as your number one running back in a guillotine league. It's just like don't give him money away.
That wasn't my number one back, but I'll take the
I think it was.
It wasn't actually. If you want,
Who was it? Was it Eckler?
It was H-Chan.
Oh, okay. No, you have him in both of them.
League? Are you talking about the same league?
You have two. You have him in both 2 leagues, right?
I do. Yeah, at least 2. I might have him in the third one too. I'm not sure though.
Wow, really spreading out your diversity there.
Dude, he's not my starting backs. That's the thing is he's my third back, and he's on the bench until I need him.
Yeah, that one you have H-Chan and Eckler. I swear there's one of them he was going to be your starter, but you had to have somebody else. Who was that? Let's see.
I don't think I've ever drafted him as my number one back, unless I did like I drafted him and then took another back like right back to back.
Okay.
So that would have been the only time that I did that.
Yeah, I think you took him as your second back in all 3 leagues.
That makes sense. Because I took a third back like shortly thereafter to cover.
Oh, actually, or in 2 leagues you took him as your second back. The other ones you didn't take. The other one you didn't take him. So
okay.
You took the first league you did. You took a little bit, I guess. The first league you took back-to-back running backs. You took Kyron and Travis Etienne.
That's right. Everybody hating on my running backs, but you guys are gonna see. You'll see. All these guys over here taking 2 quarterbacks and 5 receivers to start their drafts.
If you want to draft against us, we have another bonus pod after this one coming up Saturday. We'll do a live draft, fast draft.
Do you have enough guys for it already? Where are you at?
I think we're at 7. I believe we're at 7 paid, 7 out of 12. So we have a couple more spots that we need to be filled. We'll try to hopefully fill that by Saturday morning, so we can get a
Right. Then you all want to jump in. You go ahead.
Cam Akers touchdown. Let's go.
Yep, that's right. I saw it, but I was letting you see it first. I didn't want to say it. Yeah,
I'm gonna go pick up Cam Akers.
Yeah, I mean, the Cam Akers is going to look real good for about 2.5 weeks, and then his leg will fall off.
I'm never drafting Cam Akers or picking him up again. I'm just letting y'all know. Y'all can have as much Cam Akers as you want.
Him and J.K. Dobbins are paddling the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah, so our draft right now is scheduled for, I think, 4 p.m. Eastern time, I think. 4 p.m. Eastern time or Central time. We might move that a little back if we don't have enough by then. Hopefully we do. Planning on doing 60 seconds first 10 rounds like we did this week and last week, 30 seconds after the first 10 rounds. There'll be a couple of giveaways. We'll do another free entry giveaway to our best ball. It's worth about $7. So do a couple of those, and then
let me draft your team.
No, I'm never letting you or Scott draft my team. I watched Scott's drafting skills for the first time last night. Scott,
let's rotate picks, me and you. Well, you pick one, I'll pick next. You pick one, I'll pick next.
How about you and Ken do that? You and Ken can have that. I'm not having your stupid running backs at the top of my board.
I think every time I'd be like, you would take I'd take a quarterback, you take a receiver. I'd take a running back, you take a receiver. I take quarterback, you take receiver.
No. I don't trust you. I don't trust you with your drafting strategy. You and Tortoise, I think you and Tortoise might just like kiss and make up on your drafting strategy. So
no, he's dude. We're all like in agreement, me and him, as far as the running back position. Like you guys are.
That's what I'm saying. You and him probably make out drafting y'all's teams. Like, no, I got that guy. That's my running back.
It is like me. You know how Ken and Scott were like. That's the same thing with me and Trevor when we're drafting. He knows exactly what I like, so he'll snag him before me, and I'll be like, "You son of a." And then I gotta try to like start taking my guys around early so that I can get him before his ass.
So we're not seeing as much kickoff. Yeah, not as much kickoff action as I thought we were going to see. I don't even think the ball's been past the 30 yet. So I don't think they probably don't have their starter kickoff returners in either. So
yeah, they might not be playing their starting return teams. That's a very good point there.
So I mean, it's cool to see though. It's definitely cool to see the new strategies and stuff like that.
I like the way that they're kind of doing the blocking. Like they're doing different blocking schemes. They're doing different approaches to it. So I really want to get more in depth on like what the actual rules are. Now that I've seen this, I can rewatch this, and I'm sure they'll talk more about it when I can actually hear the broadcast and see exactly what they're talking about the rules are and everything. But it definitely looks intriguing because these guys have holes, man. I'm watching the run backs, and there's holes for them to hit. They're just they're slipping or. They're not getting to the hole in time. So
I think the commentary just said he made a mistake by catching that ball. And the end zone, I think they thought it was if it went in the end zone, he would have went to the 40, I believe. I still think it's the 40. It might be the 35. Well, what a nice catch.
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. This is a great catch right here. We got to keep an eye on that kid. Who is that? Johnson?
Cornelius Johnson, I think.
Yeah, that's a solid catch. That's how you catch it with your hands right there, man. That's called going up and getting it. It's crazy to me when you're a 6'4" or 6'5" receiver and you're constantly playing against guys that are 6'1" or shorter as a cornerback, and you can't make those types of catches. It boggles my mind. I'm like, dude, you're so much taller than that guy. Like, just put your body in the right spot and jump.
Colin Johnson is his name. His name's Colin Johnson. Sorry, Cornelius Johnson. I don't know where I got Cornelius from, but it wasn't a race thing. It's Colin. I still got the C right.
Did you see it up on the TV or did you see
it? I looked it up. I looked up Johnson, and then as soon as I pulled it up on my phone, it's Colin. It's Colin.
Right when you said that, I looked down and it said it on the TV screen on my screen. I was like, oh, yeah, it's going to tell him now in a second. He's going to be mad that he wasted all that time.
I do that all the time with like movies and stuff. Like, what's that person's name in that movie? Oh, and then it'll pop up on my screen. But,
oh!
Shh. Short stack Division 12. I think will open after next week's pod. If I think that's what Alex said. It could open earlier. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Keep an eye on the hubs. Alex will update everybody in the hubs, and then we'll have an update for you on Wednesday for sure.
Yeah.
So I know it's very soon.
Yeah, I think at the latest it was next week's pod. I don't know 100% when he was planning that, but
Is that the old Sluggo route?
yep, stick and go.
Fucking Tampa Bay won a trophy with that route. Well, they won a trophy knowing that route.
Yeah.
Because their defense was calling it out before the play.
So I think Scott was betting the under on this, or I don't know who said that, but I just got a comment or something in one of the sleeper leagues that the under didn't hit already. So good job betting the under there, Scott.
At 46 seconds left, the under. What was the under?
I don't remember. I just saw a comment that said I guess the under didn't hit.
It's sitting at 21 right now. It looks like, right, or 31. I thought the under was 22.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just reading the sleeper chat.
Which one of you cool guys in the comments wants to tell us what the over and under is on this? I thought he said 22, and right now I'm seeing 31 on the scoreboard. So to me, I think the over hit, right? Because he said
that's what I was saying. The under didn't hit. I think Scott bet the under.
Okay, so Scott bet wrong.
Yeah,
Bet
that's
the
what I'm
over.
saying. Good job, Scott. Never taking betting advice from you again. I lost my house.
It's all right. You could just go stay at Scott's guest room.
I know.
You go move to Florida. Here we go. Another kickoff.
Don't tell me how it goes. I know they're returning for a touchdown.
All right. Dude, he should have let that one go too, I think. Same scenario. Oh, he's got a lane though. Oh, it stumbled again. Man, I'd see that's what I'm saying. I think it's more the field and like you said with the backups probably being in that. It's like you'll see the play here and you tell me what you think. There's definitely a lane and you can see he just stumbles right when he tries to put the Jets on.
Yeah, I think it looks like they're not having any like traction in their cleats or anything on this field.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of slips and falls and stuff.
Yeah, especially on these return guys trying to cut that first cut after running 15 yards full speed,
Yeah. It looks very slick from just my TV. It does look very slick. Under was 43. Is that right? Or is that what it currently is?
That's the total. Or that's gotta be the whole game, not the half, right?
Okay.
Yeah. The half I thought was 22 or something like that. I thought Scott said the other day. But I know he said the total, very rarely does this game ever go over 40 points. I think was his comment.
Yeah, I don't partake in much betting since it's illegal here in Texas. Sorry, FBI. I'll talk about it a little bit, but
you guys don't have like legalized sport. I thought they nationally legalized gambling sports.
So we have Underdog and DraftKings and like where you can pick a couple players. We don't have like DraftKings Sportsbook or anything, which is like totally different type.
You just have the daily fantasy type of
daily. Yeah, exactly. We have DFS. Underdog has their pick'ems or whatever. Sleeper has their pick'ems, and we're do that. But we have to go to Oklahoma or Louisiana to do any of the sports betting type stuff. So
yeah, it's funny because I live in Nevada, the gambling capital of America. And we can't do any of the daily fantasy here because
it's probably because the casinos want to cut or whatever.
Exactly, it's the gaming commission, the Nevada Gaming Board wants their piece, and because they say it's a gambling site, and according to DraftKings, they're not a gaming site. That's why they don't do something specific. I can't remember what the whole argument was about it. There was something that they would say like, we're not a gambling site for this reason, and then they've been going back and forth for got to be a decade now. It feels like. In court over this whole scenario. And that's why I think Nevada, I think New Jersey, I think is one of them. There's a few other states that like it's legalized gambling, so they don't have.
Yeah,
games.
Louisiana. I know there's no I was picking sleeper, crossed over the Louisiana Texas border or whatever, and couldn't even submit it. And
Yeah, you're like, oh, stop the car, turn around, let me go back to that rest stop over there for a minute.
exactly, it's like so stupid. All like you have like the biggest gambling things you can do, and then you're trying to do this one little thing that's legal everywhere, and it's just not legal there.
Right.
It's like makes no sense. But
well, we don't have like the Powerball or any of that either. So if anybody wants to
Really?
get
I
in
didn't
on
know
those,
that.
we don't have any of those lottery drawings, so we have to drive to the border. And usually people will go to the California border or
yeah, scratch off and stuff.
Utah, they'll go to what's that?
Yeah, scratch offs at least.
Nope.
No scratch offs.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah, those are not allowed in our state because those are all state lotteries. Like scratch offs, all that, that's all state lotteries, and we have gaming, so we don't have any lottery system.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's crazy.
Yeah,
I know like Indiana and stuff, they have legal gambling. I think Louisiana has legal gambling too, and I know they both have scratch offs. So it's a little weird how these states do that.
I mean, they might have a state lottery and have gaming. Like we just in Nevada, we've never had a state lottery system. I think it's because out here, I think the casinos carry so much weight that I don't think they've ever wanted anybody to have the opportunity to do any kind of gambling they weren't a part of. So they shut a lot of that stuff. I mean, they went as far as, I don't know if you ever had them where you were at, but we used to have these things that would sit on top of the bar tabletops, and they would have different games on them, like photo hunt or different kind of games that were available that were just like video game kind of games, and like you put a few bucks in, you play in like quarter, 50 cents, but they actually removed those from all the bars in Vegas because of the fact that gaming, the bars were getting mad that they were taking away from the gaming. They thought people were playing that instead of playing the slot machines that were sitting in the bar tops. So it was crazy. Like just anything that they can do to try to force you into the gaming side of it.
Yeah, I think you were telling me that the other day. Like every sports bar you go into just has some kind of gaming. Oh
yeah, dude. Not just sports bar, bro. Every gas station you go to, there's slot machines. Every grocery store you go to, there's a slot corner. Like it's almost every place you go, there's some sort of gaming in the building. It's crazy, it really is.
Yeah,
nature, man. We're sitting there in the 7-Eleven line, like you don't even hear the like bing, 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 all this stuff going on in the background because you phase it out. You're so used to it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Short Stat said that's crazy about Nevada. Learn something new every day. I agree. I did not know that about Nevada. Not having scratch offs is just completely wild. Come on. Yeah. Nevada.
Like if I go somewhere with scratch offs, I'm like all kind of like, what I want to get some, this and that, and like, we're the ones that are this much, and they're looking at me like I'm a complete idiot.
Like, what the hell did
everybody's usually just boom, 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 like exactly.
What the hell did you even have in your Christmas stockings, dude? Come on.
I don't know, man. Candy bars and stuff.
Condoms in Las Vegas, right?
Condoms. Birth control for the ladies. Oh, that's funny.
We got 17-14 game at half.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I feel like this is a good stopping point for us. We had a lot of fun here, man. I think going through, answering some questions. Really appreciate all you guys in the comments too. We had a lot of fun going back and forth with you guys. You guys provide us with a lot of fun questions to talk about, and I had a really good time doing this. The kickoffs were a little less exciting than I hoped for, but it was still got to see it and got to understand a little bit more about how it's going to play out. So I definitely think this was a really fun time and a definitely worthy episode, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was a little like the last minute thing. We didn't announce it or anything. I think I posted it maybe in like two places, and we had 10 people or show up. I have a bunch of comments, a bunch of questions, like one of our most interactive questions that we've had. Like most questions come up just in the hour and a half we were here. So I think it was great to have. So
yeah, if you guys enjoyed, please comment, let us know, hit like in our page there on YouTube, and we'll do these more often if you guys are into it. We got a whole preseason coming, and I'm excited as the next guy about it. So I'm more than happy to jump on and chat with you guys and go through questions and just kind of have some fun during games like this. This is a lot of fun.
For sure.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys so much on behalf of Connor and the Ballsville squad. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you soon.
Later.